Today, we're focusing on definitely LinkedIn and Handshake profiles and just how we can showcase your branding, personal and professional brand in those different profiles so that you can discover different opportunities, connect with people in your industry. And then again, we're really focusing in on those LinkedIn and Handshake profiles. One of the things that I also wanted to recover or recover is about those LinkedIn common misconceptions. So beyond just thinking that it's for job seekers or that you have to have a really formal and like nearly perfect profile or just another reiteration of your resume and lots of connections, you can find a lot of value that like don't meet those misconceptions, right? That LinkedIn could be used for before you're even job searching or as you're a professional and want to share like professional news or the latest industry trends and be a leader in that area. You could use LinkedIn to do that. Your LinkedIn profile by no means has to ever be perfect because you're always growing and evolving your professional skill sets and maybe experiences and knowledge. So I think it's always evolving. So you don't have to feel like you're, you know, set in that specific format that you have a profile right now. You could use a lot of what we talk about today to maybe to evolve your profile or maybe approach it differently. And then you don't always have to like, it is good. You can keep some of the information from your resume, but you have a lot more opportunity on your LinkedIn and Handshake profile to really tell like that story, to show dynamic content. So a lot of that are misconceptions and you can find value in so many different ways. And then again, LinkedIn and Handshake are just great networking platforms that you could use for a lot of different purposes, whether it's researching the companies, exploring pathways based off of like other people's profile to discover that you can make it to like a specific career pathway in like not such a linear way. You could find so many ways to get there too. And then you can also definitely use LinkedIn and Handshake for more of that networking and positioning yourself to be discovered by different professionals in addition to some of like the job searching opportunities that those platforms provide. And then again, when we're thinking about personal and professional brand, some of those key elements to really take a moment at least at some point, right, to reflect about what your values are, maybe some of the professional goals that you have, and thinking about what are those experiences, skills, and qualities that can help you stand out in the field, as well as who you want to reach out to or be connected with. And then all of those different elements can be put together to create a really strong personal introduction so that you can make those connections, you can position yourself to be visible. And then I'll show you all the different ways that you can incorporate this professional branding into your different areas of your profile. So again, if you do take a moment to reflect, I think that starting with like understanding what are those elements of the professional brand you might want to communicate to other professionals and peers, you can kind of turn them into self-reflective questions. You can think about what are some of those values that align with your career goals. And those motivations that you have, maybe what are the things that you are hoping to learn, because you can definitely have that reflected in your personal or in your professional profiles. And then also thinking about what that impression is that you want to create, because those are those elements that will really come across in your LinkedIn and Handshake profiles when you're connecting with the people that you think about who you want to connect with. Okay, and to break it down a little bit, I kind of broke it down into 4 sections of what we're going to talk about in depth today. We're going to chat a little bit about that profile, connections, engagement, and then kind of make a plan at the end of this session to figure out what is the step that you want to take. And you don't have to do all of it at once. Again, I think professional profiles like LinkedIn and Handshake are just like constantly evolving. So it could be a really quick step today of like including some of those skills on there or like taking a step back to research some of the skills that are keywords in your industry and then really taking the time to incorporate them. So that's kind of like where we're headed today is talking about profile, connections, engagement, and implementation. So if we start with profile, I feel like profiles can be sometimes you can feel overwhelmed because there's so many different pieces that you can build into your LinkedIn or Handshake profile. So if you are thinking like, okay, I want to take it step by step, and I just want to approach like the key ones that will make most sense for me, then we have this really helpful LinkedIn profile checklist linked on the Academic Success and Career Center website. Um, I didn't have this link. Oh, perfect. Thank you. You can find it through all these websites if you just search for, I think it's like building your profile, and then you can find, or resources, and then you can find the LinkedIn profile checklist. Um, but if you're just looking for a really quick checklist to help you frame like which pieces do you want to focus on, then I think this is a good starter. And then today I really actually want to focus on like four key sections to really spend some time in, just because I think that having that updated profile could really increase your discoverability, showcase that personal brand that you want to communicate to others, and then also help you just get more tailored recommendations and information when you're using these platforms. So if we break it down into some of the key sections, we're talking about headline and photo, summary, which is really a big piece that I always feel a lot of pressure to have like a really good summary. But I have a couple of building blocks you could utilize to really, frame what you might want to be saying in that section. And then we're going to talk about the value of including like education and experiences in there too, as well as just emphasizing that it's a really great way to showcase those skills and keywords that are within like the industry that you're looking at or that you really want to showcase professionally. So if we break down the first section, headline and photo, I think that definitely these are usually like those immediate things that people will see. So when visiting your profile, the immediate things that will stand out are exactly this, like the header that you see here, or the headline, the name, usually like that photo, and then like a background picture. And usually when you're looking other people up on like the search bar in LinkedIn or Handshake, a lot of those things will pop up. So definitely thinking about how you want to frame those is important. And having like a picture and a background here is typically important just because it does take up like that first half of the screen when you're viewing it on a mobile device or on your desktop browser. When you're thinking about a profile, you don't have to have like a super like, tailored headshot. It could just be something that's like a simple headshot that's very clear, that showcases who you are. And then sometimes the approach that you can have for the background could be something easy as like a background photo. Or if you have some of those options that are pre-done in LinkedIn that you could choose to, you could utilize those as just a way to have that visual interest at the top of your profile page. And then really what I think is going to stand out is definitely the section under your name, which is that headliner. And what we're really aiming for is conciseness. So on LinkedIn, I think it's between 220 to 224 characters that you have. So really how you can approach it there's a lot of different ways, right? We have one example here where you lead with your most current role or title, if you have one that you'd like to showcase. The other things that you can consider including in your profile might be more of those skills or expertise that you have to offer in the industry. Remember, during that personal branding reflection, it's like, what do you want to have stand out? This could be your place to showcase what you might want to stand out. Are you collaborative? Are you a pro in the area that you're looking to connect with people in? And then the other thing too that you can think about is using thinking about what value you can add to future companies or organizations. And for that one, I think you can see here in some of the examples, there's like bridging the gap between education and experience. That could be a value add to an organization or company. And then you can also go at it very simply. Like for me, I'm a more keyword person, like key skills and key things that I want to come across. And so I just use like educator is very important to me as both like a value and something that I like to do. And then I also included just like the title that I currently hold, just so that I'm more visible to students who are searching. So you'll just want to think about, again, who your audience is, consider all of those different pieces that you might want to come across. And it can be very formal, or it could be very informal and a little bit more relaxed when it comes across in your headline. That was the view from LinkedIn. So if you're curious about how that shows up in Handshake, it's a little bit more different. Like Handshake, I think gives you the opportunity to just be even more concise. I think on Handshake profiles, the headliner that you have is going to be 75 characters. So it's definitely even more concise. In that space, you might just consider other showcasing like very like specific skills or maybe what you might be studying. So depending on who you want to connect with, it's just immediately there when they're looking you up in your profile. And I think that in Handshake itself, the background is something less that you have to worry about because they only give you like 10 options. So it's a little more streamlined and then really focusing on the rest of your profile versus the top part of it is a little bit what's different in Handshake versus what you will find in your LinkedIn profiles too. Okay. And then next, after you've kind of tailored your headline and photo, I think summary, of course, is that section that is going to be basically your personal introduction and your way to showcase skills. And again, some of the things that you really want to stand out and how you want to be connected with. So when we think about summary, it's an opportunity again to share career story, maybe expertise, professional goals, and some of the things that you had reflected on earlier. In hand or LinkedIn actually, there are only, I believe, 2,400 characters that you can use, and usually only the first few lines will show up in a preview. So definitely when you consider building out, for example, your LinkedIn summary, the hook is going to be what is leading at the beginning, and then there's like a little section that says more. So definitely when you think of that, um, consider those different pieces that's the place where you want to showcase that personal introduction, and the beginning part is what's going to really stand out for someone to click on that more and read more about you. And of course you aren't stuck with what you have written in your about section all the time. You can always update this. So if you're looking at creating your summary section, I actually also have a section here that shows you what it looks like in Handshake. So even smaller section. On LinkedIn, I think they give you 2,400 characters, and on Handshake, I believe you only get 300 characters, so even more concise. And I like that in the platform, there's like a little tool that can help you rework some of what's written in the summary. So if you're going for a more formal tone or a more friendly tone, you can kind of play around with the platform there, which is really nice. And then you can like go back and forth and take what you have in Handshake and put it on LinkedIn, or take what you have in LinkedIn and see how it can give you something to work with in Handshake. I think that if you're building the summary, you can of course think about it as your personal introduction. And when we're thinking about your personal introduction, it might help to build it around this little formula here where you start with that basic intro. You talk a little bit about you, like that value, the motivations, what strengths or what you want to be doing. And then, of course, ending it with how you want to be connected. This could be a really helpful way to have like a three-pointer, summary that covers all of these things. And so that if people are connecting with you, they know like what your strengths are automatically, or they know a little bit more about you. And if you include that call to action at the bottom, like, hey, I'm looking to connect with industry professionals in XYZ industry, would love to connect here on LinkedIn. It's giving that invitation to say, hey, we should definitely connect. And these are the things that might align with what you're hoping to connect with too, and give you a starting point to build your connections. If you don't want to start off with kind of this personal introduction format, you can also think about your summary section as being a little bit about that, in an interview process, a lot of people will start off with, so tell us about yourself. And so if you're thinking like, oh, I already have a really great answer for that interview question, you can bring in those elements of that answer into your professional summary in LinkedIn and Handshake as well. And I think a really popular format is that past, present, future type of layout for your tell us about yourself. So if you talk about your past, you can talk about what led you to this point. What are those experiences that have prepared you or shaped your journey thus far? And then you can talk about present, which is going to be what you're actively doing now, what you're focusing on, what skills and expertise that you've been developing through the experience now. And then if you're thinking about the future aspect of putting that into your summary, you can think about what your goals are, how you want to get connected and move forward with those goals. And so this might also be a really great way to think about how you want to showcase your summary section in your LinkedIn or Handshake profile. And of course, I'll definitely send these through as a slide to everyone here too. And then that way you have a lot of different pieces that you can pull from. And maybe if you're refreshing your profile or helping someone else, you can pull up these points too. And if you want to see how it gets put together, I have this really quick example as if we were Butch T. Cougar and maybe they're majoring in some sort of multimedia design. But I think this is like a really quick and probably more appropriate for LinkedIn because it is a little bit longer, but could be shortened for Handshake. So this type of example showcases that past, present, future, like what led Butch T. Cougar into looking at multimedia. It was that high school web design elective, and then a little bit more about what they've been gaining so far, which was the skill sets in coding, and they want to continue to learn and develop their abilities. And then I think what's nice is that it wraps up at the end with how they want to get connected and who they want to connect with. So it's pretty clear. And if you were to come across this in a like, if you're searching for people to connect with, you'll say, oh, this person has similar goals. We should definitely connect. It kind of opens that opportunity and door to be connected. So I like that. This could be a really great example. And of course, I think that if I get stuck with generating ideas for that summary section, we now have tools like generative AI. If you have some keywords that you really like, sometimes I think that it's a good tool to use to say, hey, I'm looking to shorten this really long like description and I just need it to be a little bit more concise. I sometimes will utilize that to also help, but also making sure that it's still in the voice that is very me. So definitely AI could still be a tool that you're utilizing to help you create all of these. After you have like that top section, right, with the profile headline, the picture, the summary, then of course, like the biggest pieces are going to be your education and experience. When you think about the education section, I feel like that's a really quick section that everyone can add. And what's really great is that if you do add that education section, it positions yourself to be discovered as like an alumni of Washington State University. And if you can see here on the left, if you do visit like the Washington State University profile and you look at this section for alumni, then you will show up in there, which is really nice for other Cougs to connect with you or for you to be able to connect with other Cougs who might have a similar career journey or are in careers that you would like to see yourself in and could just bridge that connection and say, hey, we're majoring in the same thing and this is what I hope to do. Like I'm wanting some more information from you. You could utilize that, and education could be one of those easy pieces that you build into your profile. When it comes to what shows up in Handshake, I think that similarly, you have the option to put it in Handshake, and there will be really similar sections that you can fill out. But I think what's easy is that through Handshake, you're already associated with WSU, so it's more so about adding some of the details versus when you put yourself in LinkedIn, then you're going to have to, search for the university and then input all of that information too. Aside from education, I think experiences, there's a lot of different approaches that you could use to showcasing it on LinkedIn and Handshake versus what you have on your resume. So I know with your resume, it's meant to be really concise. It's meant to be usually like a page or two, right? So that an employer can really quickly glance at it. But I really like that LinkedIn gives you a little bit more wiggle room and like space to do things that you can't do on a resume. On a resume or on a LinkedIn and Handshake actually too, you can actually also do a little bit of these pieces where you associate different skills with it, which is really nice. And then also I think that's nice that your LinkedIn profiles will give you the opportunity to create dynamic content. And when I say dynamic, it's these links here where you can showcase pieces of your work, or maybe you've had something that you've created that's posted online. You can link those too, and just showcase like what that looks like in application, right, for someone who's looking at your profile. So I really like those pieces. So if you're wanting to go to the approach of, hey, I'm going to fill out my experience section with the basics of what I've been involved with and what experience that I have, you could do something that's more simple where a lot of people will just have like a skeleton outline of all the experiences that are relevant, and then incorporate the skills section just to showcase like what those key pieces that they were doing at the experience. Or you can also find some people will put in a lot of dynamic content to really showcase what they accomplished at that experience. And then we'll do a little bit more of, so for example, here it's a little more storytelling of what they focus on and what they highlight. So you can have a really like conversational tone if you want to have in your profile too. But if you are using your experience section to showcase what you are doing at some of your experiences, of course, I think that being consistent between what's listed on your resume and what you have in your LinkedIn is very helpful. But you can also make sure to have like those action verbs and really focusing in on accomplishments just instead of like just duties that you might have had at a certain experience. So always think about why, how, and how well you were doing what you did at an experience, and those will definitely be pieces that you want to keep in there. And of course, if you have like quantifiable data, that shows impact. So if you have any of those figures or numbers that you can share, I think those are definitely pieces you'll want to incorporate and will be like a definite standout to people who might be looking at your profile. And then going back to Handshake, a little bit of how it looks too is that it is very similar to what pops up in LinkedIn. So you'll notice there's the opportunity to put in LinkedIn, you have the titles and the dates you were doing it, as well as like opportunity to describe what you're doing. But in Handshake, it's a little more simplified. So there's still the opportunity to showcase like when and where you were doing certain activity. But I think the bottom part doesn't let you include any links or content. It's mostly going to be that descriptive storytelling that you'll find in Handshake. The other piece that I think is definitely impactful for when we're thinking about our profiles, aside from headline, summary, education, and experiences, I just really want to highlight that it's a really great place to highlight the skills and keywords that you want to come across. I really like that at the top of the profiles, you can have this top skills section. And I actually think sometimes that it's helpful when generating some of those overarching skills, you might want to include keywords into your actual resume. And I'll go back into LinkedIn and look up a couple of those keywords so that I can incorporate it into a resume. And then if you have any keywords that you find a lot on your resume or that you just really want to showcase, the top skills feature allows you to, showcase a handful of them at the top. And then I think, of course, paired with what you've been doing at your experiences, you can showcase how you've done those skills in those experiences. And I really like here too that I think the LinkedIn option prompts you to add skills. So it gives you a really quick list of skills that are searchable that you might want to include on some of your experiences. And then when you look at the profile further down, it'll showcase like, hey, here's this job coaching experience and here's where I've been doing it. So it's a really nice way to visualize how you've been engaging in all those different skills. And I think what's helpful too is that you have an opportunity to have your skills endorsed. So maybe if you're working on a team or you're working with a supervisor, it could be a nice way to help and just, help someone say, yeah, you're really skilled in this area. And you can click on that to endorse other people that you might have been working with. And I always think that's a nice like engagement piece that you can build into. And then here's, I think it's different in Handshake where with the LinkedIn, there's a section at the top that showcases top skills. And then it's also showcased throughout every experience. But in Handshake, it's just a little bit different where there's just only one section where you highlight like the top 10 skills that you might have. And I also think that's a nice place to include it on there too, if you're considering really utilizing your Handshake profile as well. And again, the updated profile for discoverability, personal brand, and then personalized recommendation information. This is what it kind of looks like on the back end. So if you were recruiting in like the Handshake profile, this is more like of an on-campus type of position, but you can see that for if you have like a really updated profile, then you might, be in the list of people who really match that thing that they're looking to hire for. And so for here on the employer side, it identified like some people who might match the job based off of the interests and things they might have listed that we're seeking in a candidate. So that this is kind of a nice way to showcase what it looks like on the opposite end. And also, if you prefer not to be reached out to too, that you always have that option. So on LinkedIn, you can update like your visibility preferences, and even on Handshake, you can also update your visibility preferences. But if you're actively searching for a role, this could be a really helpful tool to, end up on like an outreach list or just showcase that you're looking for an opportunity that matches the different skills that you're wanting to showcase. And then on the opposite side too, when you're looking at platforms, and this is just a screenshot from my personal Handshake, like your profile, the more it's updated, the more that you have on there, that's just very personalized to you, then the algorithm, will pick up on that and be able to showcase those top things that might match what you're looking for. Or for example, in here, if you have a search that's automated for yourself that you've saved, then they can continuously update all of these different opportunities with things that might interest you some more. Okay. And I think the next piece that I have, so now that we've talked a little bit about profile, then definitely using the platform to build your network of connections is important. So when we think about LinkedIn and Handshake, who do you specifically hope to connect with now or in the future? Feel free to add that in the chat. I'll put in my answer too. I specifically would love to connect with Cougs and alumni and sometimes recruiters so that we could be in the know of things that happen and what positions might be of interest in the future. Any other thoughts? Ooh, yes, employees, partners, recruiters, alumni, all of those. Alumni, I love that too. We have someone from the Alumni Association here today. Employers, definitely. And all those people are available to connect with in LinkedIn and Handshake. So again, LinkedIn and Handshake are professional social media platforms. So connections and requests are expected, right, on these different platforms. And connections don't always have to be about asking for advice or asking for input on something or asking about like the next open position. It could just be a way to maintain a lot of those connections. So for example, if you want to maintain connection with Butch T. Cougar and they had a profile on LinkedIn, that could be the way that you maintain that. And if you were to need to connect with them in the future or just want to see like the latest updates, then that could just be a really quick way to stay engaged with them, or even professors, alumni. And of course, you can always use the platforms to get advice, to get feedback on different things, to know about openings. But I just want to emphasize that you don't have to necessarily only ask about things. You could just continue to develop those connections and maintain them that way. And so if you're thinking about making connections with people, I would definitely start off with some of those warm connections that you have. So for example, maybe those are going to be your friends, some of the advisors, the coworkers coworkers that you might have, people who are engaged with similar organizations. Those could be really great places to build a starting network. And then when you think about what your personal brand is and who you want to reach out to, who you want to be reached out by, that can help you figure out maybe like industry contacts that you might want to be connected with. Alumni is really great. You could go back to what I mentioned earlier, where if you look up, let me see how far back here. If you look up Washington State University, you can go and search for alumni who might have majored in the similar major that you're doing, or you can also look up specific industries and look up where they might work, and that could be that connection that you have to reach out. So if we're thinking of connecting with people, you could always use this as a really great checklist of folks that you might want to be starting to connect with, and also people that you imagine yourself connecting with. So maybe industry connections in the future and recruiters. And so, for example, when you do connect with them, so say you attend a career fair online, or if you attend an event and connected with someone at the company that you're interested in, then you can maintain those connections using the LinkedIn or Handshake profiles. And it could be super easy where you just say, thanks for hosting that event. I just really hope to stay connected to learn more about what you all offer at your industry. And it could be super easy where they just say, yeah, of course, like I'm constantly sharing. I'd love you to know what we have to offer. Or it could be something where you're exploring more about the industry that they might be in. So it could be a really quick message that says, I'm really wanting to stay in the loop about athletic training and I want to connect with you to learn more. It could be a simple message like that, just to open up those connections. Or you can connect with, if you're connecting with a former professor or maybe an instructor for a course that you had, you could just share that you just want to stay connected via, your professional profile here on LinkedIn. And then that could be an easy way to frame that connection request on LinkedIn. If you're thinking about wanting to use Handshake as well to connect with maybe potential recruiters or individuals from companies that are in that hiring space, I think what's really nice is, here's an example here at the bottom. So usually each employer profile, right, will say, here's our company, these are some jobs that we have that are currently posted. And then sometimes on the profiles and Handshake for employers, it will showcase people who work at that company. So it's kind of a nice way to discover like who's the corporate recruiter for this organization. And immediately in the platform, once you click on a person, it will give you an option to message or follow them so that you can see the latest updates that they might post on Handshake. And then if you do have questions or want to stay connected via like LinkedIn, then that could be something you message to them or share with them there too. So hopefully that can showcase that it is really great to use like Handshake and LinkedIn to create those professional connections, and that it's easy as like following them on here, or you could send them a really quick message there too. Okay. And next we have, so now we've got a profile, maybe setting up some connections and potential connections, right, with researching some companies and sending a couple messages to get connected with them. Staying engaged on the platforms, I think, is the next piece, right, to really showcase your brand and just get active on those different platforms. And so if we think about how engaged you are on LinkedIn and Handshake on a scale of 1 to 5 thumbs up, how engaged do you think you all are? Let me put some of mine too. I think I'm like at a 3. We've got a 2 in there, okay. 0, all right. Okay. Lots of room to move up into a little bit more engagement. And so I think engagement means so many different things to so many people, but engaging on the platform could be a little bit easier than you think. Even if it's going to be a handful of these or just one of these, I think engaging in some way, like joining a group or following a company and organization. And then some more active things would be sharing content or endorsing skills, commenting and interacting. I think all of those different pieces or combination are really great ideas, just to continue to utilize the platform so that you could get visibility, so that you can share opportunities with your network and then just stay open to new opportunities too. It can look like some of these. So, for example, when you're looking at your LinkedIn profiles, reacting, commenting, and reposting are super quick ways that you can engage. You don't always have to create content of your own. You can find content that resonates with you and repost it, or you could do that little thing here where you say, hey, this is really insightful. And so it will tailor the platform to showcase more of that to you. Or for example, here, it'll showcase that someone in your platform or you might have reposted it, and then people can see that as well who are connected to you. So I think that is a really quick way and can move you from a 0 or a 2 into more of like a 4 engagement, right? You could be engaging with different things that are posted there. If you're thinking, okay, that's a lot, maybe not so much needing to repost and comment at this point, the other way that you can find engagement on the platform is by connecting with like some groups, following organizations. I think that's a really great way to stay in the loop and also be open to opportunities as they come. A lot of the platforms here will showcase, like, so for example, here's a group that I'm in for the Murrow College Career Ready group. I think there's also some business ones, there's some engineering based ones, there's a lot of different kinds of groups that you can connect with via LinkedIn. But here's one example where joining it, I'm open to these types of position or postings, and you can like them so that other people can see, or that these people know that you're interested in positions they might be posting about. Or for example, on Handshake, they post a lot of different opportunities and just like the latest industry trends. And I think that's a really great way to just build up your network and then be open to connecting with other people as well. If you're not sure about organizations or professional associations maybe to connect with, I think two places that are really great starts are to use the What Can I Do with This Major tool. I think that there is a link that we can reshare in the chat. But if you visit the tool and you go into the major area of interest that you have, and you scroll down a little bit all the way to the bottom, there's a section where it has professional associations. And then this is a really great way to look for maybe other professionals in the industry that you're hoping to get into or connect with now or in the future, and then connecting with their main profiles. They also usually post like updates or ways to get connected, which is really nice. If you're looking to connect with specific employers in your industry and you're wondering like who are some top leaders at this time that I could, connect with and just see what they have available, the Labor Market Insights tool on our main Academic Success and Career Center website is also super helpful. So for example, if you plug in, and this is all the way like at the bottom of the page if you scroll down, and you don't even have to log into any of these different resources to look at the information, which is nice. But for example, I put in anthropologists in Washington, like what are the top employers right now that I might be interested in. And so it was a nice way to kind of generate some that I might not have known of, or to reinforce the ones that I do know of, and then getting connected with those organizations via LinkedIn or maybe in Handshake so you can discover some people. It could be another way that you're staying engaged and up to date with what's going on. And then, of course, if you're thinking, I want some original content to share on my profiles, what can I share about? If you talk about like a recent experience that you've had, I think that you can think about, here's a really quick way to frame what you might want to say. So if you just start off with that intro about what it was, what you did, and then incorporating, again, those key accomplishment skills, what you've learned is a really great thing to add in the middle, and then closing it out with what you're going to do next or who you want to shout out. I think that is a really great way to have an impactful highlight of an experience, and paired with a picture, you get a lot of engagement that way and are just able to showcase a little bit more about you and your professional accomplishments. So this, I think, is also a really great example that you can take a look at later too. And then I think all of those different things, so as you have your profile and you have those connections that you start building on the platform, and then you start maybe doing a little bit of engagement with like looking and liking at posts or reposting or connecting with some people, some companies or organizations, then the more tailored your profiles become. So here's like a screenshot of what I think I came across this morning. So on like my immediate homepage, right, I've been getting info about different positions that might get posted. I got some info here from a leading organization in my industry. So our National Association of Colleges and Employers, I'm getting a little bit of info here from their organization. And then over here too, I have a little bit of more information about upcoming opportunities that might interest me. And then even if you start liking these or you repost it, then your connections will also benefit. So they'll be able to see what things that you might be interested and wanted to showcase. I also think that's a really great way of engaging on the platform. Now that we have just a lot of ideas and information to think about, I definitely think thinking about what you might want to do with your profile in the next week, month, and year are really great things to think about. So if you have a chance to, it might be a great time now to think about one thing that you might want to do afterwards, whether it's just going back into your profiles and updating like the background or maybe putting a keyword or two into your summary, then that would be really great to include. And then maybe in the month or year, those are the things that you might want to like intentionally reconnect with people that you might have met recently, or find ways to reconnect with people that you have previously met.
Oh, yeah, we have a question in the chat.
Oh, yes. Are there going to be any opportunities for a photo shoot at Pullman campus? I think typically for the Pullman campus, we will have professional headshots usually around the Career Expo season. So a few weeks before Career Expo. And then you can usually find those on Handshake if you connect with our Career Center on there, and you can stay updated on the most recent opportunities that we have next. Hopefully that addresses it. Oh, and we see in the chat that WCUAA might work on some before graduation. That's awesome too, potentially.
So I drop a link in there to German. I hope I said your name right, because we have an event with WSU Alumni Association right after this at 6:30. So if you want to join us, there's the Zoom link for you. And then you can ask more questions to Jamaica about these photo shoot opportunities and other opportunities that WSU AA offers. So, all right.
Yeah, and I know a lot of information, hopefully some ideas on how you might want to incorporate some pieces into your profiles and just continue building your professional brand. But if you have questions, feel free to share them in the chat or shout them out. And then, of course, if you want to increase your LinkedIn connections, feel free to put those in the chat too. And this could be a really great starting point. And just knowing that all of us might be working on different pieces of our LinkedIn's or handshakes too is a great thing. Like we're all working on things.
This is LinkedIn. Is Mia Darnell.
Yeah.
Oh, so well, how did you? Okay, I'm
Oh
using
yeah.
my phone, so
Oh.
so I can't see.
We can just find you with your name.
All right. Okay. So I think that's about maybe Heldy, you can add your LinkedIn and then they can connect with you too. But yes, Thank you, everybody, and please join us. We do have an event right after this at 6:30 with the Washington State or WSU Alumni Association. So yes, that would be wonderful. And then we will email the slides. I will get it from Hildy, and then we will also add it on our website. So, all right, everybody, is there anything else?
Thank you all so much.
All right, thank you so much. That was extremely informative. That was amazing.
Yeah, hopefully
All
just ideas. Those
right.
are
Okay, well,
also great.
okay. I will see you everybody on the next event.
Bye.
Bye.